Recently crowned the 2022 Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank. Let's take a look at a cross-section of potential participants in WWE's annual ladder match melee and, after a brief case is put forward, see whether the temperature is hot, lukewarm or cold on their chances of earning wrestling's life-changing luggage. Who better to start with than a guy who's packing their bags for a history-making night in Wales, that being Drew McIntyre. McIntyre has been sizing up Roman Reigns for a little while now, and the tribal chief has been given off the vibe that he's a little bit wary of Iron Drew. There is, of course, the small matter of a big stadium event on the horizon, in which Drew McIntyre will no doubt be front and centre for. And what better way to punch your ticket to the top of the entire company than by announcing a Cymru cash-in in September. Drew is hot on our scale to bring that case all the way to Wales and leave with it containing championship gold. Another former champion from this side of the Atlantic is very much in the mix for a briefcase fix. That would be Becky Lynch. Now, Becky has talked excitedly about a comeback story, very much pushing for a date with Destiny or Bianca Belair. Becky's done a lot in WWE, but the taking possession of the Money in the Bank briefcase isn't amongst those accolades. And for that reason, she sits lukewarm on our temperature gauge. You see, big-time Becks would write good-time checks, swaggering around on a Monday night, waving the case in Belair's face. I'm not quite sold on them making the man Mrs. Money in the Bank, though, whether or not there are other ideas for her. One to keep an eye on. Similar story for another child of Ireland in Finn Balor. A US title reign and a feud bubbling away with Edge and Judgment Day at time of recording, kinda sort of. It's good to see Finjamin getting amongst it once again on Raw. We were worried for a little bit that he might be forgotten about. The Demon King is also lukewarm on our scale. Whilst I don't see Balor becoming the boy on top, I do see a possibility of WWE going back to that Finn Roman Reigns story. Let's go back to it, the man that Roman Reigns was only able to beat due to a ring malfunction, now waiting in the shadows to strike. With that kind of creative carrot dangling, Balor becomes, possibly a potential briefcase benefactor. It would be quite the coup de grace. Revenge would be the driving force behind an MITBW for Charlotte Flair. Now, we talked about WWE getting on side with Balor just now. WWE have constantly had eyes for the Queen, despite our indignation for Ric Flair's Next Generation. The idea of Charlotte rocking up at Allegiant Stadium, probably in a helicopter, and ascending once more whilst irritating isn't, unfortunately, impossible to fathom. However, on this particular occasion, Charlotte is the Ice Queen. It is cold on our scale. She's away over the summer to get married to Andrade, and I can't see her being there. I mean, chances are she'll be getting lucky away from Vegas, if you know what I mean. She'll probably win Money in Bank at some point, though. Almost definitely. Now, luck hasn't been on the side of Liv Morgan. Next consideration for a Money in the Bank deposit. She's just lost another tag team partner to the unruly mistress known as Creative Changes. And at one point, you'd have probably put Liv as a hot contender on a night like this, but we're going lukewarm on the scale today. I reckon we'll see Liv get amongst it on the premium live event. A couple of oblivions for ne'er-do-wells, but her stock has dropped recently. I don't see Creative rekindling that fire between now and July, but it wouldn't take much to do it. While she's carrying a lot of emotional baggage around, it's unclear whether a green briefcase could be eventually amongst her carry-ons. The cause of some of that said emotional baggage, however, that's a very different story. This is Rhea Ripley we're talking about now, freshly sided with a freshly trimmed Edge and Judgment Day. She's very much taking a cable car up the mountain of omnipotence at the moment, and it's cold at the top, but Ripley is hot on our scale, with WWE reportedly having big plans for Rhea Ripley to square up to Bianca Belair in a Raw Women's title showdown. What better way to get there in nefarious, shocking fashion than by holding the briefcase that her new mentor made famous all those years ago. Edge bestowing the virtues of ultimate opportunity into the young and hungry Ripley. would make for a super story. It would. Now, whilst Edge isn't in this particular temperature treatment, his current rival is. Talking about AJ Styles, who has done everything in his WWE run, barring a Royal Rumble win, a dance-off with Rikishi, and a Money in the Bank briefcase win. He said in interviews, as AJ, that he can see the end of his career on the horizon, and he wants to wrap it up as part of the E-Machine. Could Vince McMahon give AJ the okay to be Mr. MITB before he says TTYL? Maybe, but not this year. AJ Styles is cold on the thermometer for 2022 success. You see, Styles will have significant stuff in the weeks and months to come in WWE, no doubt helping raise the stock of some younger stars, but that role does not require him raising a briefcase. Now, a case should be put forward for the case to go to Sami Zayn at this time. Sami is currently having the time of his life in WWE, working with Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania, recently with Drew McIntyre on SmackDown, Brock Lesnar before that. He's made himself almost indispensable on SmackDown. And for this reason, as a bit of an outsider consideration, Sami is burning hot on our scale. Think about this, the idea of promo king, conspiracy nuts, and abject coward Sami Zayn taunting, cajoling, parading, hot-dogging and grandstanding with the most prestigious of portfolios. That's quite a tantalising proposition. Would Sami win his first WWE title from a catcher's catch cash-in and commit a title heist in the process? No. I don't see this being Sami's gateway to glory, more another corner to cry conspiracy from. But it's certainly hot on the temperature meter for him. Somebody who's been to the top of a ladder before is Asuka, who made a big return to WWE TV just the other week. She won the pandemic-inspired Titan Towers Benny Hill sketch known as Money in the Bank 2020, a match which turned out to be for the Raw Women's Championship all along. What a twist. So she's had previous for this match, and for that reason she's currently lukewarm on our scale. Not as likely as Becky Lynch to bag the briefcase, but certainly not to be written off as a non-starter, since, as we say, she's been there before. When we talk about the guys from SmackDown, as opposed to Raw, that blue brand business binder bringer, another name to throw into the women's consideration for SmackDown is Lacey Evans. Her passionate promos about the tough upbringing that she faced and the obstacles that she's overcome makes a win in a match like this feel really special. The All-American Lacey Evans, lukewarm on our scale. Whilst I'm not sure Lacey would need to be Mrs. Money in the Bank to pay off her story per se, as a successful briefcase victory would probably be the happiest of endings to her story if they chose to go that way. Now, one of WWE's greatest stories in the past 10 years has been that of The Shield, which brings us to a Money in the Bank win that could potentially lead to another meeting of the Hounds of Justice. Seth freaking Rollins is bouncing back from 2 back-to-back losses to Cody Rhodes as of just Monday Night Raw gone. Looking at maybe a third. But so maybe going back to his biggest triumph after his run with Cody would recalibrate his metaphorical compass. He's ruined Roman Reigns' life with bank withdrawals, not once but twice. How about thrice? Rollins is cold on this scale despite this. You see, I don't see WWE rushing to put Seth back in the title mix. And as we've seen from the past few days, he has aspirations that don't involve his old mucker Roman Reigns, do they? Would Seth cash in on Roman again is a question nowhere near as pertinent as where has Alexa Bliss been? Bliss took a long break from WWE programming for some time away to go get married and do other things, partly down to a wedding, partly down to a lack of creative plans. We didn't see her around WrestleMania. However, she made a big return on Monday Night Raw just gone, and it looks as if she's already back into the mix, and it's for that reason Bliss is already showing lukewarm on our scale. Any time spent erroneously absent would pretty much be rectified with success at Money in the Bank, and the role of a lurking title challenger, I think, would suit her very well. Plus, it's handy to put Lily in. Just, if she's getting bored of carrying her, just pop her in the case. It's lovely, that. One of the men's side once more. How about another Raw star with the potential to end Roman's reign? Bobby Lashley is an interesting name to put in the clash for the case. It's something that he's never won, but certainly something he could be dangerous with. This one, before we get too far into the fantasy booking of Bobby's third run with the big one, is registering cold. Similar reasons for Seth Rollins. His goals are clearly elsewhere with other talent, and bagging a briefcase kind of scuppers said plans. Definitely never say never, though. Something that I theorise they'll do before Lashley calls time on his career. I could see him getting a briefcase at some point, but certainly not in 2022. And hey, since we're theorising, let's theorise theory on the thermometer. Vince McMahon's hand-chosen John Cena 2.0. WWE Creative want to strap the metaphorical rocket to theory and get him to the top of the entertainment of sport as quickly and efficiently as possible. Now, this is why theory is hot on our scale. What better fast track than a guaranteed championship match anytime and anywhere? Is Theory beating Roman Reigns? No, you silly goose. No. Is it Theory, though, full of cockiness and smart aleckness, running around and being the guy that just annoys people with the briefcase, consequently beating the guy that beats Roman Reigns, taking all the air out of the arena or stadium? That's a very strong theory that puts Theory over strong on our thermometer. He won't beat Roman. Probably beat the guy that beats Roman. One more name for each briefcase. The penultimate one will surprise many. Almost as surprising as an unexpected visitor at the door. Ding dong, it's Bayley, of course. Bayley's been teasing a comeback all year long. And by the time Money in the Bank rolls around, you have to believe that she'd be pretty much good to go. Bayley is registering hot on our thermometer, as will the crowd when she ascends to abscond with the attaché for a second time. The perfect way to get us back to that brilliant Bayley-Belair feud from 2021. The magic starts with the unhooking of a case for Bayley. Now, as for the men's, there is one person entering WWE's summer season with a lot of adrenaline in his soul. Something, Cody Rhodes. Cody's grand design to bring back the best belt design has been very much gripping fans old and new. Mainly me. Cody is even front and centre for the commercials for Money in the Bank, wandering around Allegiant Stadium. Genuinely, for a second, I thought he was back in Jacksonville doing a stadium stampede. That messed with my head a little bit. Now, along with that and his recent title talk, it puts him hot on the scale. Cody is the sort of guy that would win the Money in the Bank, approach Roman Reigns, name the time and the date for the cash-in, ensuring they pull in the crowd. Very old school method. A crowd that could very well see the tribal chief dethroned, allowing the winged eagle to soar once more. I've got a bit of a thing for that belt, don't know whether you've noticed. Of course, these are just a handful of names, and I know that you'll have grievances over omissions. Could Sasha Banks boss it? Could Naomi give us a glow-up? Will Kevin Owens pull off a stunner? Does RKO become MITB? Ezekiel? Let me know in the comments who you think should be Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank 2022. After all, it is a case that is far from closed. Stay safe and love you, bye.